In the summer of 1948, a young woman boarded a train in Texarkana with hope in her heart and her entire life ahead of her. She was headed for a fresh start, a college campus, summer classes, and maybe something even bigger beyond that. But she never made it to her dorm room. Her sudden disappearance would stir fear, suspicion, and a search that spanned over 75 years. A mystery built on fragments and fading memories. No struggle, no cry for help, just one final conversation on a darkened curb, and then she was gone. This is the story of Virginia Carpenter. Hello friends, my name is Marcia, and this is Midwest Murders. Texas in 1948 was a place suspended between two worlds, the grit of the past and the promise of modern America. The Second World War just ended 3 years earlier, and in the Lone Star State, soldiers were returning home, industries were shifting gears, and small towns across Texas were adjusting to a new normal. Opportunities for women were slowly growing, but expectations remained traditional. In small-town Texas, a young woman leaving home to pursue an education was seen as both admirable and risky. It was still a world where trust ran deep. Young women were beginning to travel alone, often depending on strangers for help. But if something went wrong, those same friendly faces could be their worst nightmare. Mary Virginia Carpenter was born in 1927, the daughter of Floyd and Hazel Carpenter. At just 5'2" and 120 pounds, she was described as a quiet, hard-working girl with deep-set brown eyes and a slight limp on her right side. In 1942, when she was just 15, her father passed away after a long illness, leaving her mother to support the family alone. Virginia graduated high school in 1944 and briefly attended the University of Arkansas. By the following year, she enrolled in the Texas State College for Women in Denton, but poor health forced her to leave school after just one semester. While recuperating at home, she became engaged to her caretaker, but family disapproval led her to call off the engagement just 3 weeks before the wedding. She eventually found work at a local clinic and shifted her dreams from nursing to becoming a lab technician, still in medicine, but something her body could manage. By 1948, with her health improved and her mother in a better-paying job, Virginia made the decision to return to Texas State College for Women for 2 summer science courses, and she was hopeful that this time nothing would stand in her way. On the afternoon of June 1, 1948, Hazel Carpenter drove her daughter to the Texarkana train station. Virginia boarded the Texas and Pacific No. 31 bound for Denton. She carried a steamer trunk and other bags, and all the hope that came with a second chance. At 2 p.m., she waved goodbye from the observation deck. But 3 days later, when Hazel hadn't heard from her daughter, her concern turned to panic. She called Breckenridge Hall, the women's dormitory, and spoke to Mrs. Rose Powell, the superintendent, who told her that Virginia had never arrived. Hazel, along with her neighbor Mrs. Lucille Bailey, drove to Denton, where she was met by her brother-in-law Donald Fulton of Olney. A police investigation was launched the following day. Jack Zachary, a local cab driver, was the last known person to see Virginia. He told police that he had picked her up at the train station along with an elderly woman who was also headed to the college. After arriving at the dormitory, Virginia realized she had left her steamer trunk at the depot and asked Zachary to take her back. Since the baggage claim area was closed, she gave Zachary the claim ticket and asked him to retrieve the trunk the next day and leave it on the sidewalk outside the dorm. Why she didn't want it taken inside the dorm adds to the mystery of this case. That trunk was later found in front of the dorm 2 days later. What happened next has haunted investigators for decades. Zachary said that after returning Virginia to the dorm around 9:30 p.m., he was unloading her luggage when he saw a yellow convertible parked at the curb with 2 young men standing next to it. Virginia called out to them, apparently recognizing them, and asked what they were doing there. She told Zachary to leave the luggage on the grass, saying that the men would carry it in for her. 10 days later, a bus station agent in DeQueen, Arkansas, reported seeing a young woman matching Virginia's description step off a bus, wait inside briefly, and then leave with a man. The witness later identified Virginia from a photograph, but no trace of her was ever found in the area. Police combed through hotels, rooming houses, and farms. Yellow convertibles in both Denton and Texarkana were tracked, and their drivers questioned. No trace of Virginia or her luggage has ever been found. In 1951, police dug up part of Jack Zachary's backyard after receiving a tip. They uncovered several small bones, a button, and a hacksaw blade, but lab tests revealed no human blood or tissue, nothing that could link to Virginia. Then, in 1957, Zachary was back in the news, arrested for allegedly assaulting a young woman from Grand Prairie. The woman declined to press charges and he was released. Suspicion lingered, but no concrete evidence ever surfaced. In 1960, hopes were raised again when a human skeleton was found in East Texas. The remains matched Virginia's height, and for a moment, investigators believed the mystery might finally be solved. Unfortunately, the Public Safety Lab in Austin determined the skeleton was not Virginia's remains. Virginia Carpenter was eventually declared legally dead, but in the hearts of her family and the town she vanished from, her memory never faded. Some cases go cold quickly. Others never have a chance to heat up. The disappearance of Virginia Carpenter falls somewhere in between, a case that seemed solvable in those early hours, but slowly unraveled into a riddle with no answer. Was she abducted? Did she run away? Or did someone she trusts lead her into the night, never to be seen again? We may never know, but we will tell these stories so they're not forgotten, so that even after all this time, someone still might come forward. Because somewhere out there, buried in the silence, is the truth of what happened on that warm June night in 1948, when a young woman stepped off a darkened curb in front of her dorm and disappeared into the night. If you have any thoughts or theories about this case, please leave them in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and may the truth reveal itself in the shadows.